is a success story that will make you feel empowered.
In her new book, Patricia Walsh Chadwick is recounting her story of how she clawed her way to success in a male-dominated world starting at age 17 when she was forced out of the religious cult she grew up in. Patricia joins us now to continue the conversation. Patricia, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So your new book, we have it right here, Breaking Glass, Tales from the Witch of Wall Street, is coming out next week. Before we get into your success, how is Breaking Glass a follow-up to your earlier memoir, Little Sister, in which you described your childhood in a Catholic cult-like group called The Center?
It is really a sequel. So the first book, Little Sister, does tell my story until I'm 17 years old and kicked out of the community, which did morph, sadly, into a cult. Breaking Glass takes me basically from the time I get out and follows my path forward. But I do a lot of comparing and analyzing and thoughts about what actually was value added in that bizarre childhood that helped me make it on Wall Street. And there was a lot to be grateful for and a lot to be thankful for. And so I try to have a very measured, balanced approach to describing how some of my upbringing, which I think if you remember the story, it was run by a woman. And Wall Street is a very male-dominated place. And because this one woman ran the entire community of 100 people, 40 children and 60 adults, it was, to me, not surprising that I might be in an environment in which I'd be thrown responsibility. And I think that, she was never a mentor. She was a tough, tough woman, but she was a role model. And I think that powerful role model helped me a lot on Wall Street.
Patricia, what gave you the courage to enter what was, pretty much a male-dominated industry?
Well, I don't think there was much courage, because what I did was I started off at the very lowest rung of the ladder. I had been allowed not to go to college. I had only been allowed to go to secretarial school. And once I came out of secretarial school, 9 months after I was kicked out, I had to find myself a job. I was on my own. Whatever I earned was what I would have. And my first job that I was offered was as the receptionist at a brokerage firm. And truly, I sometimes wonder if I had been the receptionist at an automobile agency, if I might have had an entirely different career. But I got very interested very quickly in the environment of stocks, selling stocks, and brokers were the people that I had to work for. And it was little baby steps for a long time, and then there were some big giant steps.
You certainly broke barriers. Let's talk about the nickname Witch of Wall Street. Where did it come from, and how did that make you feel?
I only discovered that that was the moniker that I had about 5 years ago, and I was shocked and dismayed. Then I started to think about it, and I thought, wait a second. When men have characteristics of strength and determination and perfectionism and all of those kinds of things, they're considered leadership qualities. But when a woman has them, maybe they get her named Witch, or maybe the first letter of which was something else. And I thought a lot about it and decided that I was going to embrace it. Yes, I broke some china along the way. I fully understand that. I was driven, but I promise you that I was tamer than most of the men on Wall Street. And so I've decided to revel in it, and I kind of decided to make it the subtitle of my story. And the tales are really what it is about. I'm trying to tell stories, not tell how to, but show how I was able to go from being the receptionist by little baby steps for a while, getting my degree at nights, and eventually coming to New York and having a wonderful and fruitful career.
Obviously times have changed over the years, but there's still some women, as they grow up, they're encouraged to get married, have a family, rather than, maybe focus on their career and their achievements. You decided to wait to start a family until you were in your 40s so you could concentrate on your career. Tell us about that decision and, the state of where things stand right now in society and what's changed.
Yes, well, I did decide to hold off, but then I became married at the age of 36. My husband was a divorced man with 3 children, and I didn't, talk about the fact that I really did want children. And it wasn't until I really turned 40 when we had that discussion. And he was marvelous. He was fantastic. And then I was a rushing game because I had to do it before the poor biological clock gave up on me. Yeah. And you can see that picture there where I've got twins. So I had twins at the age of 45. And for me, it was great. I can fully understand why people would want to have their children younger. I'm now 75, my children are 30. I'm adoring them at this age. But I did hold back for quite a while. And ultimately, though, I made the decision that many women choose to make, and I'm respectful of it. When my children were 5 years old, I quit Wall Street. And I decided I really wanted and needed to have the time to raise them. But by then, I had had a really full career, and for me, it worked out very, very well. But I do want to make the point that I think women have to fully accept the fact that if they decide to leave their career, now not just a career that's in the finance world, and raise their children, that can have a bearing on how fast and how much they can get to the top. And I think that women will perhaps always be somewhat discriminated against in that regard, because people will think, well, this is a career, and I want to make sure that they're going to be around, and how do I know that they're going to be around? And I wanted to do everything perfectly until I came to the realization that I couldn't be the mother I wanted to be unless I left Wall Street. And so I did it at age 51.
Well, that's a good message. Congratulations on your book. You certainly did break that glass ceiling. We appreciate you joining us, Patricia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, congrats on the book. And what